Good evening, first grade families. This is Miss Fenimore here. Welcome to your virtual math night session. I am going to share a couple strategies that we use in first grade to add and subtract. Let me bring up, I'm going to share my screen. There are going to be some pauses in between as I'm bringing things up. So just bear with me, please. All right, so you can see on the screen that this is our agenda for this evening. Math Night presents first grade Rollin' and Flippin' with Miss Fenimore. So the Maryland Common Core Math Standard that we're going to focus on and that we do focus on in first grade is adding and subtracting within 20, but demonstrating fluency for addition and subtraction within 10. So what that means is when a student is showing fluency with addition and subtraction, that means they don't really need to count on their fingers. They are automatically able to see two quantities, and if they're adding, they know immediately 5 and 4 make 9, or 4 and 5 make 9, or 2 and 3 make 5, or 5 and 2 make 7. So for addition, they automatically know that. For subtraction, it might be 10 minus 7 equals 3, 9 minus 3 equals 6, and so on and so forth. So that's what I'm going to focus on for this evening. The purpose of this is just for me to be able to share a few math ideas for your first graders and for you to help build their addition and subtraction fluency using dice and or a deck of cards. And when you get your materials, which you will get them for our trunk or treat, your first grader will receive a set of dice, so 2 dice, and a deck of playing cards. So the first thing I'm going to focus on is using dice to add all or add on when we are adding or subtracting quantities. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. And then I'm going to switch to some manipulatives. So on the screen, you should be able to now see a pair of dice. I will share this website with you as well, but if you look at the screen, it's just diceapp.io. And this literally comes up for you. So it's pretty cool. So to show counting all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my dice. So I'm just going to click here. Again, your child will have the set of dice. Okay, let's try this again. All right, let me make it 2. Sometimes the internet is not very friendly. Here we go. All right, let's roll those dice. So again, I'm going to use the counting all strategy. So what I want your first grader to do is I want them to identify how many dots are on each of the dice, excuse me. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. So to count all when we're adding, your first grader is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then they should be able to tell you that 6 and 3 make 9, or 6 plus 3 make 9. Okay. Something else you can do with them is you can have them write this down. Your first grader has been working on writing equations, which we also call them number sentences and expressions. So for this one in particular, they would write down 6 plus 3 equals 9. So let's try another one. So again, we're using the counting all strategy. Here we go. Oh, so I see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and most of your children should be able to notice, oh, that's the same, so that's 5 as well. So they're going to count it all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, they can just practice rolling the dice, counting all, or they can practice rolling the dice, counting them all, and then writing the expression. And just on a piece of paper and a journal. Let's do one more, and then I'm going to switch to the counting on strategy. So here I see 2 and 1, 2, 3. So now I'm going to count all to add them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So the next strategy I'm going to use is the counting on strategy. When we are counting on, we start with one amount or one quantity, and then we count on from that quantity. In our classroom, we try to focus on identifying which die or dot cube has the greater amount. So as I roll the dice, I'm going to automatically know, oh, well, that's 1. So this obviously has more dots, and that's greater than 1. So it's 3, 4. Let's try another one. Again, we are counting on. So these are equal 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's another one. Okay, so again, you want your child to identify which one of these are greater. They should obviously see that 6 has more dots than the 4. So they would say 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's very important when your child is doing this that they are touching those dots. It gives them that one-to-one connection as they are counting all to add, but also counting on to add. All right, so for the next one that I'm going to share, we're going to go back to the agenda. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to use the dice, but we're going to now subtract those quantities. So again, I'm going to share my screen, and I apologize that I have to continue to stop sharing. What I have found in the past is when I go to switch my share screen, it's still showing you the old and not the new. So you're going to see me stop and share quite a bit. All right, so I'm going to roll those dice, and now we want to subtract. So what I'm thinking about is I'm thinking, okay, well, which one is the greater amount? Well, I see this is 6 and that's 2. This die has a greater quantity than this one. So what I'm going to do is I want to think, oh, if this is 2, I need to take 2 of these away. So what I want your child to do is just with their finger is cover up 2 of these dots. So then they should clearly see, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I have 4 left. So then that tells me that 6 minus 2 makes a difference of 4 or equals 4. Let's try a different one. All right, so I see that my greater quantity is 3. I want to subtract 1. So I'm going to cover up this 1, and then it's going to leave me with 2. All right, obviously, if it's 3 and 3, I'm going to take away these 3 or get rid of them, because when we are subtracting, we are getting rid of an amount. And if I'm getting rid of all the 3, obviously that leaves me with 0, nothing. I don't have anything. So 3 minus 3 equals 0. Here's another one. So what I'm going to do with this subtraction, I still want to stick with subtraction, but I want to show you how we teach them how to count on using subtraction. So if I see the quantity of 6 and the quantity of 2, I know that within that 6, I want to get rid of this 2. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 2 and I'm going to count up to 6. So watch. So it's 2 and then 3, 4, 5, 6. So your child should recognize that they have touched 4 of those dots as they were counting on. And this is also kind of like the missing number. So if I have 2 and I want to count up to 6, how many more am I counting? And that would be 4. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So those are those 4. We'll do one more and we'll move on to the cards. All right, again, I'm using the counting on strategy. I'm going to count from the least amount or the least quantity up to the greater quantity. So again, I want to get rid of 2. So there are my 2, 3, 4. So I've only touched those 2. So I know that 4 minus 2 equals 2. So again, there's the 2, 3, 4. I have only touched those 2 by counting on to subtract. So just to recap, what I just showed you was how to use a pair of dice to use our adding all or add on strategies when adding, and then using the add on strategy to subtract quantities using dice. Now we're going to move on using a deck of cards to add all or add on when adding or subtracting quantities. Thank you for being patient as I bring up these different files. Again, when I'm sharing my screen, I do have to stop and switch over, otherwise they will not come up for us. Okay, so for this activity, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you pretty much the same thing that I did with using a set of dice, but now we're going to use a set of playing cards. Now, when you are using these playing cards, you can either take out the ace, king, queen, and the jack, or you can allow your child to create whatever number they want. Okay, so I really just want to focus on whatever your kiddo wants to do or what you want to focus on. All right, so this just takes a little bit longer because there are a lot of slides on here. I'm going to present it from the beginning. And again, I'm just showing you how to use the count all strategy and the counting on strategy when you are using a deck of cards. All right, so if I'm looking, if I draw, I have my cards and I put them in a pile, I shuffle them. You can teach your child how to shuffle if you need to. And what I notice is I have drawn 2 cards. So I've drawn 9 and I have drawn 5. So what I want to do to count all, I want to count all 9 of these shapes and count all 5 of these shapes together. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that tells me that 9 and 5 make 14, or you can say 9 plus 5 equals 14, or 9 plus 5 is the same as 14. Your child is learning that the equal sign means the same as. It's not just equal and it gives us an answer. It means the same as. And that will be very important for them to understand as we move through first grade. All right, so again, we're focusing on counting all. All right, so I pull up 2 new cards. I have 2 and I have 9. Again, either your child is very comfortable with identifying the greater amount. They're going to obviously see, oh, 9 is greater than 2. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 9 and 2 make 11, or we can say 9 plus 2 equals 11, or 9 plus 2 is the same as 11. For the next slide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on counting on to add. So I drew 2 new cards. I have 4 and I have 3. Talk with your child. Which amount is greater? They should see that there are 4 rhombuses, and that is greater than 3 hearts. So I'm going to start with the greater amount, and I'm going to go 4, 5, 6, 7. So counting on is going to start from the greater amount, and then you count on from there, going up the number sequence. For the next one, I see that I drew a 2 and a 7. I want to count on starting with 7 because 7 is a greater quantity than 2. So I'm going to go 7, 8, 9. So 2 plus 7 equals 9, or 2 plus 7 is the same as 9. They can even say 7 plus 2 equals 9, or 7 plus 2 is the same as 9. If you notice the counting on strategy, when we work with this in first grade, what your children are learning is that when they count on, they are getting to the amount more efficiently. So they're getting the amount correct, but they're also getting there faster. So some of your students, or I'm sorry, some of your children, yes, at the beginning of the school year, they were counting all. Well, now we have moved them to counting on. If they're not there yet, counting all is absolutely fine. The most important thing is that they're understanding that 1 to 1. So they are using their finger to touch each of those shapes on the cards or each of the dots on the dice. So it's very important that they're doing that. I'm going to share my screen again. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to use the same deck of cards, but now we're going to subtract. Okay, so it's very important that when your child is learning to subtract, that they understand that you are subtracting from the greater quantity, the greater amount. So I'm not going to, take 9 away from 5, because when I look at that 5, oh, I don't have 9 to get rid of. Okay, and in first grade, we're not doing negative numbers. They'll get that later as they get older. So I draw 2 cards. I'm going to do 9 minus 5. Again, you can move this card away from them, because a lot of times what they want to do is they want to keep adding these. And we're not doing that. We know it's 5, so we want to get rid of 5 of these shapes on this card of 9. So try to have them look for a pattern, okay? So they could either go up, that's 4, and then this one is 5, and then this is what the difference is, 1, 2, 3, 4. They can use a piece of paper and cover up a group of 5. Here's another group of 5 here. Okay, and if they cover this up with a piece of paper, they should only see 1, 2, 3, 4 left over. So the difference of 9 and 5 is 4, or they could say 9 minus 5 equals 4, or 9 minus 5 is the same as 4. Let's do another one. Okay, here's the next 2 cards, 2 and 9. Again, because we are subtracting, please reiterate that we are starting with the greater quantity. Obviously, the greater quantity here is 9, and we want to take 2 away from the 9. So again, use something, piece of paper, or you can use your hand, or they can use their hand, and just cover up 2 of these shapes, and then have them count what's left over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we know that 9 minus 2 gives us a difference of 7, or 9 minus 2 equals 7, or 9 minus 2 is the same as 7. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the counting on strategy with subtraction. So if I see 4 and 3, I know that I'm trying to get rid of 3 of these rhombuses from 4, because I want to find that difference. So what I want to do is I see, there are my 3 here. So 3, 4. Well, I only touched 1 of those. So I know the difference is 1, because I'm counting on from 3 to get to 4. Some of your children automatically will know that because they have been working with number lines and the number chart, which they know that it's just one more away from the other. Here's another one. 2 and 7. Identify 7 as the greater amount. So I want to take away 2. I want to get rid of the 2 of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to go back and count these. Oh, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the difference of 7 and 2 is 5. So I'm going to go back to our agenda. Sorry if I went a little too fast, but I just want to reiterate what we were doing here and what I was showing you. Get it set up one more time. Okay, again, this was first grade rolling and flipping with Miss Finnemore. We were focusing on that Maryland Common Core math standard to add and subtract within 20, but mainly I wanted to focus on demonstrating fluency for addition and subtraction within 10. I shared a few math ideas for you and your first graders to build addition and subtraction fluency facts using dice and a deck of cards. I used the dice to show you how to use the add all or the add or end the add on strategy when we're adding and subtracting quantities. I also demonstrated using a deck of cards to add all or add on strategies when adding or subtracting quantities. What I also wanted to show you is that here are some virtual websites. So you have mdk12.org. This shows all of the standards that we have for the state of Maryland from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade. The next one is toytheater.com. This is where you will find lots of different manipulatives virtually that your child can use. And then the last virtual website, which is the DICE app that I showed you and that I use, that is diceapp.io. So you can always come back to this, write these virtual websites down. Again, thank you for your time. Mrs. Hanbury and I are truly and thoroughly enjoying teaching and having your kiddos with us rather than on the computer. We cannot wait to see you at Trunk or Treat. Have a great evening. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions. Have a good night.